are you? Nice to
I'm
meet
good.
you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
You've got a quite fantastic beard in this VR simulation.
All right on, man. Thank you. Took me some time to grow this.
So you're Dedric, was it?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Ollie. You're right.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Ollie.
This is a very there's a head up there as well. This is a very interesting
Is that
world you've
camera
created.
head? Oh.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, so let me get a little
It's
closer.
just in my blue bit. Oh, thank you. See if I can burn it.
Why don't you eat it?
Oh.
I mean,
Excellent.
here, have another, man. You can never have too many mushrooms.
This is true. Very cool. It's interesting
So
because there's a lot.
Have you?
Is it?
Go ahead.
Go on. You're gonna say I've tried it before, right?
Oh yeah, I was gonna just ask, have you tried any social VR experiences?
I haven't. No. I mean, we had the Vive in our office for a little while, and we sort of tried a few different. I mean, mainly it's just the sort of tech demo games, and obviously everything is so sort of preliminary at the moment. It's all very startup-y. It's all very even the games, like the full-fledged games, are quite almost like tech demos. So it's interesting because it's such a sort of developing sphere. But the idea of having sort of mini games within a wider social space seems to make quite a lot of sense, considering everything is tech demos at the moment. So
Right.
it's obviously a lot of the stuff that we've tried is essentially the stuff like that. So something like Job Simulator we tried was sort of picking up different items and interacting with them. But that's sort of like the basis of the experience rather than creating it in a bigger sort of plain world, which is quite an interesting idea, I think. I mean, what do you think the future of social VR is? Do you think it's this kind of sort of playing around, or do you think it's more of a? I mean, I know Facebook tried to introduce sort of their photos into it, didn't they? Do you think it's more about like creating a world and letting people play in it?
Yeah, I think social VR is a pretty big tent. I think social VR entertainment, which this is, obviously has some potential. People are having a lot of fun, sort of interacting, and what we noticed was that there's a tendency to sort of to be playful and toss things around, and the sort of human instinct really to just sort of throw things at each other. But we're trying to create a calmer, more serene social VR experience.
Sure.
And I think by shifting sort of behaviors, we'll learn more. I think that, people show up Fireside, you sort of tend to be yourself. I feel like I got the real you versus the gamer version of you, which is fun. I mean, there's certainly room for that, but we're honing in on sort of the more intimate, real experiences. And beyond entertainment, I think the potential is great. You've got vast scale sort of interaction, vast scale collaboration, which you take away sort of the themed aspects of this experience, and you have real time physics, vast scale, true persistence, and I think a framework that could lend itself to a wide range of software use cases in healthcare and enterprise and beyond. Suddenly you and I can share 10,000 square miles as each other as people. Get rid of the sort of fun play on the avatars and start to sort of create a system that is more in alignment with human biology. So once your head is scaled properly and your hands are scaled properly, there's more of you as a person in the virtual space, and again, remove sort of the entertainment element, and there's tons of potential there beyond entertainment.
It's interesting how expressive, just watching your hand movements and then the mouth moving and like head movements, it does feel quite natural, even though it's obviously a very sort of at the moment quite a cartoony avatar, there is quite obvious sort of hand movements towards and gesticulating, which you might make in real life as well.
That's right. The brain's does a remarkable job at filling in the blanks for us. And once you have a degree of hands tracked in real time and head tracking in real time, all of the micro expressions actually come across, which was phenomenal in our discovery during some of the prototyping early on. There's this sort of new generation of social VR happening, and it's really amazing to sort of see it. We were inspired by Toy Box, in fact, at Connect 2, which was at least our first glimpse of really good tracking in social VR. And we've got Rec Room and Alt Space VR and a few others that are all sort of driving virtual reality communications and entertainment. But I think there's something interesting about kind of this, what we've been calling a core triangulation in social VR experiences, and that is true persistence. I think being at sort of the top of the triangle, I think it's an important element to drive environment presence, and then of course social presence, as and then the third being what we've been calling cognitive presence. So that's having sort of wildlife about you, and the third is one that we've recently stumbled upon through Spatial OS. This idea of living entities in a world, and we're finding that it's an incredible presence magnifier. And so those elements are a huge differentiator for us, and will be for some time, I think. And I think completely necessary to create this sort of what we're calling a new form of social VR MMO.
Cool. Yeah, just the sound of the nature in the background is really calming. This whole thing's quite relaxing. It's really strange.
Right on.
So in the end, how many people would sort of be so presumably there'd be quite a few different people in this. Would it be done on an invite system, so you can ask whoever you want to come into your world?
Absolutely. So this would be your tent and in your space. So the idea is that you would occupy an area, and if you wanted that area to be private, you could make it private. If you wanted it to be open and have people come in at any time, you could do that. Or of course you could. Good luck with that.
I've got a feeling that if you left it open, that chessboard would definitely not be intact when you got back. It would be all over the place.
It certainly would. Which and I think that also depends on the type of community you choose to be in. So we've this is one of 10,000 square miles, and we're looking to sort of generate communities, and communities will have varying personalities, right? Some will be more sort of violent, if you will. Some will be more playful, and others maybe sort of more civil in their way of existing in the world. So we'll be looking to accommodate everyone's sort of personality and style of play.
So you said about B2B communication. For something like video conferencing instead, this may be a better option, you think? Maybe a more relaxing place to talk about whatever's going on in your business world.
Yeah. I mean, and also file sharing, right? But if in your business, there might be a new gadget released or something, and we could spawn it in the world and interact with it and see all the components of it in a sort of a 3D space, and to your point, just kind of changing the setting, if you will, is also sort of an interesting use case to simply carry on a meeting in a place that's designed to be relaxing. We put a lot of time into sort of giving this a bit of zen, and I think there's there's plenty. There's a lot more work to do. I could see us creating more spaces that people just want to hang out in. The idea is that it's a real place. It's always on. It's living, breathing. It's happening when we're not there. Things are changing when we're not in it, and it's something that we hope people will want to come back to again and again.
Obviously, if it's running on, so it's running through the cloud, and you have this like set amount of. Is there a restriction on how many people could create their own area, or is it just endless?
I think it could be potentially endless, right? I mean, we have restrictions on how many people per what we call place.
Yeah.
We're limiting that to about 30 people, just to sort of maintain kind of intimacy. So if you could imagine, 30 people in this place, and 30 people in
Yeah.
the next, and so on and so on, and you and I can travel there by walking, or teleporting, or plug in a flight stick and fly a vehicle across, or plug in a steering wheel and drive across, or simply warp your way across. So the idea is that there are pods of intimate experiences happening across the vast scale world.
Cool. Yeah, I'm quite relaxed.
That's good. Awesome. Very cool.
RVR, when we had the vibe in the office, it was a whole lot of throwing stuff. So this is quite a bit different.
Yeah. And people love to throw stuff, man. That's just what we do.
Yeah, we did like it. We filmed all the people in our office who hadn't tried it before, because I've tried them all now, all the different headsets, and so once you've got over the fact that you can throw something, you're kind of over it, and then you're thinking, what else can we do here? So everyone who we filmed like having a go on it was just throwing stuff everywhere, and it was mayhem.
Yeah, it's a gap we've got to fill. I think cognitive entities will be interesting, right? Like, suddenly a squirrel decides to come down and hang out on the log, and you've got something you can feed it with, or
Yeah.
maybe birds that sort of like bees that are actually going about and pollinating, etc. In real life, like, we don't sort of get bored and take our headsets off, right? We're constantly distracted by things around us, and so we're hoping to simulate a lot of that and create an experience that's never ending. That you take it off because you have to, not because there's nothing interesting happening.
Sure. Very cool. He's still watching us. Slightly less peaceful.
Camera bot.
When you turn around, it's like, oh, hello. With the stick.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
What's the rollout plan then? When obviously this is still very, very early days, do you plan on is it just going to be available to download? Is it going to be through a store of any kind, or is it just going to be sign up? Is it going to be like a paid model?
Well, sure. So we've been exploring a few different models. Our priority is to introduce enough to the alpha build so that we can release it on Steam early access and get feedback and get folks involved in creating it. So we think we'll need.
I was going to say, were you going to put it through sort of the Steam system?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We need that feedback. We need the community to weigh in and help us make some of these decisions. I think to get there, we'll need the locomotion system kind of built out. The ability to go between one world and the next. I personally don't believe that teleporting is going to be enough. I'd like to get sort of the flight stick ability happening as well, and then variations on the avatar system. A menu system is something we haven't visited yet. So there are a few key elements that need to be in place before we put this on Steam for folks to kind of weigh in on. And then as far as pricing models go, we're visiting a few options. I mean, obviously, free will get us more folks involved, and the goal is to create a very accessible world, and so we're hoping to be able to get as many folks in the world as possible. But then there's also kind of a bit of a we're paying attention to behaviors in VR. There's utter mayhem and destruction in social VR at the moment, and while I think we'll support a lot of that, we've had plenty of space to support it. We'd also like to support serene scenarios and calmer experience for people who wish to have it, and protect them, and create safe environments as well. And so I think unleashing it on the world. There are going to be some challenges in terms of how to create or how to introduce a comfortable experience for everyone. If we were to go into many of the other social experiences right now, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be able to kind of chill out and have this conversation unless we created a private room. I think it would be nice to be able to chill out and hang out in a room that isn't private, that's public, and that's rich with people that share the same interests and the same calm, perhaps, to use this sort of scene as an example.
Yeah, I think one of the first images of when I think when Oculus was doing their first one of the first images was people in a business conference room over the top of a waterfall. And I was just, that seems like a really strange sort of. I mean, you don't want to simulate a business room. That's going to be really boring. But at the same
Right.
time, if you're simulating something so extreme, it completely draws you away from having a conversation about. It becomes more about the what's here, which this is important now. What is here, but it also, as you said, the fact that we can sort of just talk and while sat down by a fire, you kind of forget that that's happening a little bit because you're just having a chat. Whereas if you've got sort of a really extreme backdrop to your VR conversation, you're just always going to know, well, this is happening and this isn't quite real. I don't know. It's very interesting, sort of really interesting concept stuff. So it's definitely the as you said, the calm, sort of serene, so zen-like sort of nature. It's very chilled out.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool
Where I
idea.
live is quite peaceful place, and but I can drive over a bridge and it's utter chaos in San Francisco, for example. But it's in the Bay Area. It's nice that we have sort of you can drive to the beach, you can drive to the mountains, or you can go to an urban area like San Francisco, I think virtual worlds should could potentially mirror that type of experience. For us, it just comes down to two things: it's presence and comfort. Do I feel that I'm sharing the space with an actual person? Am I in the environment? Do I have presence in the environment? And then am I comfortable? Am I comfortable with the person, and also am I comfortable in the environment? And I think that once you have that as a foundation, those elements as a foundation, natural activities can unfold, and so we won't we don't have to necessarily force things to do. I think that's also kind of a problem in social VR. It's just like, okay, VR is boring. Let's throw stuff at it. Let's make a bunch of stuff to do. Let's give them stuff to throw around, or let's make a bunch of as many games as we possibly can. But our approach is to make it, to take we're taking a natural approach, essentially. So imagine if there was a fishing pole, just kind of, in my tent or whatever, hanging out on the log, and, you go pick up the fishing pole and go down to some water, and, there's this sense that the fish are actually real because they're always changing and they're thinking, and you can feel it. That's what's sort of interesting about sort of, spatial OS and the approach around workers and entities, is that, like, we can make a body of fish come to life. And so there's the serenity by the water, and most important, it's creating a memory, right? Like, you'll leave that fishing experience having a memory, and that's absolutely what we're after. It's about the memories more so than the interactivity and the content and the games and so on.
It's really interesting. Were you quite inspired by your local area then to do this kind of thing? You said, like, obviously it's serene where you are. Is that kind of is that where the germ of the idea sort of originated?
Sure. Yep. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of fishing in there. That is a really cool idea.
Cool.
I used to
Thanks.
go
That's
fishing. It's very, very, very sort of relaxing. Though I did
yeah.
used to drink quite a lot of beer while I was fishing. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could guess have a beer as well, but you know.
Yeah, you can have a beer in real life. I mean, I'm having tea at the moment. That's like right here.
Don't whack it.
Oh.
Very interesting. So at the moment, you've got obviously the chessboard, and is there anything else in here now that you'd like to show me? Or
I think you've seen most of it. I mean, we had our shrooms, which are growing. I don't feel the effect yet. Do you?
no, I'm all right.
Okay, good. You've got to work today, I assume, right? Or
Yeah,
you
well,
want
because we'll say I'm done for the day anyway.
yeah. Yeah. I think we've covered sort of this aspect of the world.
Sure.
I'd love to see you come back, man. We'll have a build going in a few weeks, and we're gonna invite maybe 20 people to kind of hang out, and we'll leave the world open. We're gonna do sort of a closed alpha thing, and
Okay.
you should check it out. It's we're using procedurally generated world, so um, we've got some fun stuff to kind of check out in the coming weeks.
How long is the release window? When do you hope to sort of get it on the market to people?
I'd love to push it out to Steam in 3 months. So hopefully we can check those few boxes I mentioned:
Yeah.
locomotion, avatar system, and menu system, and get feedback as soon as possible. So we're hoping inside 3 months for an early release on Steam, and final release mid next year sometime.
Okay. Well, good luck with it, because I like the idea.
Thank you. Thanks, man. Cool.
Oh, it was really nice to meet you down by the fire.
Such a
Thank you
pleasure.
very much. Thank you for showing me your world.